Remember, I'm louder. Hard of hearing, so loud.
Hey. All right, so we are live on FMA Discussion podcast. I don't typically like to speak for other people, but I'm going to today. It was an absolutely amazing day. I think we all had an awesome time training with these living legends before you. So we're going to do a little Q&A action. First question for the panel. Thank you all again. The first question is actually for you, Guro Alex. How did this come to be? How did you get the idea to have a stack lineup of these guys? And Guro Viko, who unfortunately had to leave early, but how did you come up with the idea? How did you put it all together?
Well, I appreciate the question. It all started with Dean, Guro Dean. Just he was trying to find different ways to innovate what he had already done with FMA Discussion podcast, and he was watching one of I was actually my episode on there with Edison, and he just felt like it was the right kind of energy, right kind of dude. So he reached out, and I was like, me? Oh, let's go. So I got really hyped on it and felt that it was the right thing to do. It's important to me that we bring the Filipino culture to the masses and expose what a beautiful art it is and the different players that are involved. And so we started talking about, local martial artists, and luckily Grandmaster Bobby Tavares in Charlotte, which is about 45 minutes from here, and then we have Grandmaster Dan, who's in South Carolina. It's about an hour and a half, so it's like, wow, we got like some stacked talent. Viko just moved to Charlotte area as well, so we could have elite level instructors under one roof, and they're all relatively close to each other. So it was a no-brainer, and that's when the ball started rolling.
Awesome. Question for all of you guys. We know Viko was saying this morning about being the perpetual student. Did you guys gain anything from watching each other teach?
Yes.
100%. 100%.
That's it. That's all.
I learned
on it.
something from everyone. Everybody had something good to teach, and it was just a great learning experience. You have to be a perpetual student to continue growing.
Awesome.
Not only did I learn physical techniques from each one, but like for presentation, like how they teach, new nuances they do, catchphrases. Like I always watch that because I always want to improve my game as relaying information to my students and all that. So I think there's always something to be learned from watching others and how they run the floor, conductors, and seminars.
Absolutely.
One of the things I like about these situations is that you can always tell when the energy is right, when all of the instructors kind of teeter along the same principles and guidelines and philosophies, and it was like we were all scripted what we were about to do, but we didn't. But we ended up speaking the same and talking about a lot of the same things that complemented each other. And so when it's unscripted and it's complementary, then it's synergistic, and that's a good sign of the energy that we're sharing here.
Awesome. What do you think is the biggest lesson you want the students to leave this weekend with?
Just that we're one family, right? One big Filipino martial arts family. And I think that came across.
Grandmaster Bobby, what do you want the students to leave with this weekend?
I am just very happy that everybody listens.
Yeah.
And even my English is not that good, but I just show from my action. But I really like everybody, the atmosphere, the gathering of the masters and grandmasters. It's just, there's no who is who. Like everyone agrees. That's the most important thing.
Really was overall welcoming. Like, I'm gonna be honest, I'm coming from Connecticut. Look at the panel. Yeah. Like anxiety, I'm gonna be honest, nervousness. I mean, these guys are legends. And
Absolutely.
I run a podcast, but that doesn't constitute that I'm gonna bring this AD coming all the way and traveling, and I'm just gonna you know what I mean? So I was, nervous and kind of just like, wow, man. And when they started going out and doing their stuff, that was just like, I gotta match that, like seeing Dan, like going to those locks and all that. And I'm thinking, okay. The stakes just got, just got raised in Allen's with this stick boxing. I knew, because I trained KI and all that, so I knew I had a pretty good idea what Viko was going to do. But just seeing these guys, like Guro, Alex and Jim Dan, their craft, and how they went about it and all that, but which I alluded to before, like how you can pick up on nuances as far as teaching and all that. But I guess my nervousness though, after seeing them going on and then getting found, I just let it go, and that was all. I was nervous.
I mean, you're totally understandable. You're in the stacked lineup. Grandmaster Dan, when is my form going to stop feeling that figure 4 lock from this morning? Is that like a 2-day?
It'll go away.
Is that a 2-day thing? Okay. Who is the most handsome?
Me.
Nobody can take that out.
Hey, Rich, one of the things I wanted to add to that is for me, I had several of my own students here like you did. For me, it's very important for them to see that even though we've achieved so many things in our career, that we still get on the mats and we train and we get thrown around and we get wrist locked and we get punched and we sweat and we work out like as if we're brand new students. So I always want to lead by example, and when I'm out here training and my students see me getting thrown around and see me learning and struggling and trying to figure things out, it just validates to them that I am a student first and foremost, and that's the real formula for success, is to always have that student hat first, just always,
yeah. I've been to a lot of different martial arts camps with a lot of grandmasters, and it's very common that a lot of the grandmasters will kind of sit on the side. It's almost like an ego thing. But GM Dan, you were out here for every lesson all day, setting the example, taking every class, learning. It was awesome to really see that. Also, Grandmaster Dan, you mentioned earlier about one big happy FMA family. Obviously, martial arts brings politics. What do you guys think it's going to take to really bring FMA together?
Keep doing what we're doing.
lead by example.
Model,
Yeah.
just lead by example and model.
That's it. You gotta show that mutual respect for the other systems, even if you may not like certain techniques. But it's about saying they're doing their thing and I respect it.
You know what it is,
We're all
too?
in that together.
A lot of times it's not the system. It's sometimes, unfortunately, after you get a few toxic people who don't like working together with people, or they're difficult to work with. It's never like the system.
It becomes an ego thing.
Yeah, absolutely. But there's a few on Morty's schedule. Never with very, like-minded folks like Alex, like Chad Bailey.
Yeah, bring them
A
together.
couple guys in Atlanta. You know what I mean? So you got to be kind of, I hate to say it, but you have to kind of look at who works with people well.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like who's done this before, and instead of just picking somebody because you think that. But I mean, what's your track record? Do they have a good track record of working with others?
Yeah. Do they play well in the sandbox with the people?
You know what I mean? I hate to say it, but yeah.
Yeah, you just have to respect everybody for their accomplishments.
Yeah.
Right?
Big time.
I mean, I'm not any better than anybody else, right? So I'm going to treat them the way that I want to be treated, right? So you're going to have to show respect to get respect.
Absolutely.
And yeah, you cannot talk bad about anybody, because you don't help anybody that way.
Right.
Yeah. Almost together, you know what I mean? We all started as students, and I forget who mentioned on here, but we're always students forever.
We're always students.
Yeah, I think if you lose sight of that, I don't know, I think you're not doing much for yourself, let alone your students. You know what I mean? If you think you're going to be so far beyond, you don't think you're a student anymore.
Yeah. And I think some instructors also don't want their students to train with other systems because they don't want to see what's out there. But I like that you all brought students in from the area today.
I have no room for that, like that indentured servitude, or like telling people what they can and can't do. People get one journey.
Yeah.
And to me, it's important that students should be exposed.
I think that you're doing a disservice to your students when you tell them they can't train with anybody.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
You look at Grandmaster Bobby here, he tells his students, go out there and learn from everybody and come up with new stuff, I mean, that's like the best program that you could do is is expose your students.
I love that mentality. Yeah. Let's take some questions.
I just wanted to ask, and Kip and Guru Mazda is familiar with this question. I ask a lot of practitioners, but I want to modify it for this session. What was the moment, and this is for all of you, that you decided that FMA is going to be the martial art path that you are going to follow, or add it onto the system you are already training with?
Who's going first?
I'll go first. For me, it was, I used to train at this one dojo in Cramerton. It was associated with Erwin Carmichael, who's a really good friend of Grandmaster Bobby, and was instrumental in bringing him here to America. And I just remember we were training in a Kempo class, and I can hear in the back of the room, and I turn around, I just saw, what would become grouping system, but I didn't know what it was, and I was just like, what is that? I want to learn that. So I started studying that, and then I went to my first world camp. I think it was 98 or 99 at Erwin Carmichael's place, and the Ohio team came down with Jorge Penafiel, God rest his soul, and the whole Ohio crew. And I'm getting goosebumps thinking about it. Just the sheer power and speed and reflex, and the way that they trained just blew me away. I knew that I needed to not only learn that, but become proficient in it and share it with anyone that I come across, because it was just so impactful to me. And as I developed skill in it, it helped in my other arts. It made me faster in my other arts, in my karate, in my jiu-jitsu. Everything became better because of my training in Tabata Interlock. So that's, for me, that was it. I first saw it, it made an impact. Then when I went to the first world camp, and I just saw just killers out there, and I was just like, I need that in my life. That was my first time.
Yeah. For me, I was introduced to Filipino karate in 1978. The Black Masters famous karate clan of the Philippines, which is based in Cotabato, which is in the southern Philippines. And I had started training in that system, and as luck would have it, in 1978, I ended up going to Olongapo City. And I took a bus up to Baguio, to where there was some representatives of that system. And they started to give me like a 5-day crash course on the karate. And then they brought out the sticks, and they started doing Arnis 63 Generals. And that was like my first time to see Filipino stick work. And I said, wow, I've never seen this before, and I want to do this. And so that opened up the door, and then from then on, it's been a ladder. Climbing up that ladder, where every time I moved somewhere, there was a Filipino master there that took me under their wing and trained me. And so I got hooked, and there was no turning back. So 1978.
Wow.
I was not born yet.
What about you, Bobby? What made you fall in love with
Okay.
with that?
Well, at first, I was introduced to the stick fighting with my father. And he's an instructor too, but he teaches the Indangan system, which is, I don't know which that now, And I am so scared of that thing, stick fighting people, because they're sparring there all the time. I can see lots of blood, and there's no lights in it. It's just moonshine out there. I said, my God, I don't like this thing. So they teach me a little bit of those, but I really love boxing. Boxing is my very love. I have that boxing gloves that was my father bought it for 5 pesos. That's expensive long time ago. Way back in 1950 something. And I love that. Even there's lots of holes in it already, and then you put your hands inside, it comes out, smells like really bad. You know? But I love it. You know, I just sew it a little bit, build it. I love that thing. I have lots of kids of that at the time that knock out on that glove. Then I go for fighting for the 3 rounds at Jesus club, and I won maybe 3 times. My price at the time is 5 pesos. It goes to 4 rounds, and my price is like 30 pesos. I'm gonna get rich in this, you know. 30 pesos, which is like not even $1. So I love that. And then here comes karate, Shotokan, when somebody is doing flying kicks there, and I love that flying kick. You know, first Shotokan, first karate that I seen, and I love it because it's flying, and you know, it's very popular before, and I try to learn that. But the teacher is just he learns from the book only. I, so we did that, like how to do some flying kicks. You have to float. We put some chairs in there, and then we have to kick that one. We jump off the chairs, then you can float in a side kick like that. That's what we learned with Nick Ilizar too. Yes, the master Nick Ilizar. So we trained that. I thought that was big money because we lived in like, for money. It was very very poor. Then it comes tournament. I join one tournament, a small tournament only. But we only get small trophies. It's money. No money in it. Just trophy. That's it. Oh, sure. I stopped that. There comes Blintuak. So I saw Chito Billis demonstrating, and they demonstrated with a pin, just a pin. God, I love this because it's like boxing, you know. Oh wow, they don't have the sticks. So oh my God, I like that. So that's why I hook up with that. Blintuak.
Awesome, man.
Then actually, then after that, um, I'm going to tell this really. Um, it's not a big deal, but I have to. Because some people will say that Bobby Tabuada, this guy is well known. He's he doesn't have any fight. I never heard him in Cebu fighting. All right. I remember it now. My first knockout is my own father. I told that in my thing, because it is real, but we don't get along with my father for a long time until I go to New Zealand. I come up to the boat and I say sorry, and I never told him that I'm going to New Zealand. So that is it. So then I told one by one, who am I? Because I don't want to tell people that I knock out this guy. Otherwise, when I go home, I don't know these sons and they're still alive now. They're alive, and then when I go there, I don't know if they don't like what I did to their father. So I don't tell that. But sometimes I'm going to tell because this guy is showing now, showing up. I tell. I have lots of that. Like talking about reality, not reality, it's reality. He said, I don't know. They tell me that I have no 35 fights. I said, no, not 35, I have 500 fights. That's including my ex-wife. That's for real.
These are the worst ones.
So I told him, I said, if you're talking about reality, I'm going to tell this story. Even now and then, I tell the story about myself. Like, I go to prison. I punch the police, captain of the police, which is that long time ago, but that's not my fault. It's their fault in the street. Right? But anyway, I go to prison at the heart, but that is a direct assault, like violation order 512. I always remember that. If you go to the jail like 1 week or 2 weeks, that's
Too long.
to be inside the jail, man. It's too long. It's really hard, I think. And then, there's no food down there. Good man, I said, oh my God. If I tell the whole story, I don't even put that in a book. Otherwise, even my fights in the fear, I don't put that. Otherwise, people will, get angry or something like that.
We'll get those stories when we're at dinner later.
Yeah. What about you, Dean?
Yeah, so you guys all kind of went the stick route, which is obviously nothing wrong with that. So first UFC came out, so I'm going to this place, Ron Kosikowski, TFW Weapons.
Yeah.
So I'm going down there thinking I'm going to tap into this, multi-discipline, JKD, striking, takedowns, ground. And so I go down there, and it just so happened I had to do a makeup class, and the makeup class was Kung Tao. And so in that particular class, he was doing a sticky knife drill, where basically you're just kind of hanging on as you're flowing. You can look as a U drill and variations throughout. That was done.
Wow.
I don't think I ever went back to I'd say with JKD, but I didn't do the MMA really anymore. That was it. And I've just been edge weapons ever since, more like my major. It's not that I don't like stick or appreciate it, but.
How long ago was that?
This was circa like 1997.
Wow, yeah.
And if you look at the systems I've done, say Atienza, first before that was Amazon, and then Avenir, KI, Medusa, so it's no coincidence. It's no coincidence.
Yeah.
So actually, it was kind of refreshing today. Like, besides Viko doing sword, then who else? That was nice. Yes, that's my answer.
Thanks, Charles. Awesome question. Anybody over here?
Yeah, I did. I wanted to ask you, Alex, what is the best thing you like about Blizzard and the thing you like about it?
So the best and the least that I like about Blintwalk. The best thing that I like about Blintwalk is that it is the ultimate enhancer of attributes, and they apply to all martial arts. So it really has done a lot for me in all other aspects of martial arts. So the universality, if that's a word, maybe I can make on the spot. It just applies to everything else that I do. And so my least favorite, gosh, I mean, I don't really have them anymore, but originally was like the pain of training was really hard to overcome at times. And it's funny because Giambobby has a way of just kind of introducing you to it. And so he'll like clip your thumb on purpose, and he knows that and then I start getting all slower, I'm making mistakes. He's like, oh, you cannot stop thinking about your thumb. And he's like, I'll come back 5 minutes, okay? So I come back, he comes back, and I'm like, all right, I got this. But I'm still thinking about my stupid thumb because it won't stop throbbing, right? So those little things like that, or he would hit me in the rib, pow! I'm like, oh. So those first few times, I'm like, oh. So again, I start making mistakes. He's like, oh, you cannot stop thinking about your ribs, they sting, right? I'm like, yes, sir. Oh, you gotta accept the pain. I'm like, I know, I'm sorry. And so it took a while to get to the point where now it's just par for the course. And I remember experiencing the numb arm and hand. I got hit really hard here, and I had to look at my hand because I didn't feel the stick. And so I remember, he's like, touch your neck, touch your leg, touch your shoulder. So then I started doing the touch points on purpose because it actually happened to me. I couldn't feel my hand. So everything that he tells us does come true. And so once you accept the pain, it just opens a whole nother level. But leading up to that moment, I hated it.
So let me get this straight. Giambobby hits you in the ribs and you apologize to him?
Yes, because he wants me to accept
that technique. How do you hurt people and then get them to apologize to you? That's the technique I need to learn.
Really,
That's where you say I should have been faster, sorry.
Yeah.
I don't really hit people if they're not ready to fight.
Most of the time.
But he did block. He just blocked.
I blocked him
Oh, his ribs.
Yeah.
I try my best.
blocked everything.
I try my best. to teach him to block my strike, that's my job. But still, I can hit you. I don't know why.
He giggles. Thanks for that question, yeah, that's great.
That must be a Filipino thing, because Grandmaster Kakui used to do that too. He'd hit people and he'd laugh, and then you couldn't help but laugh. So
Yeah.
everybody's just
You
laughing
always
about
laugh.
it.
You always laugh.
Laughter alleviates the pain.
Yeah. I didn't laugh enough today, so my arm's still.
Yeah. Talking about Kakoy Kanyet, you were a good friend, me and him.
Yeah.
We go together. I was in a boat going to Manila to have my interview going to New Zealand. And he's also living, going to San Diego at the time, 1979.
Wow.
We go together in the boat. I go to the boat and then I sneaking, going to the kitchen because I have no money. I just sneak like I stole away.
Oh.
Yeah. So I did not go out until night time and talk to Jim Kakoy.
Yeah. He was an amazing man.
Is there anybody on the feed that has any questions?
We need to check.
I'll do that question.
Oh, okay, Anthony.
With all you being successful instructors in schools all over the place now, what advice would you give to other instructors of how to keep your students motivated, and maybe some just ideas and things that have worked for you to keep them motivated, keep them interested, regardless of their rank, and just interested in some things that you do personally, that how you connect with your students?
Make it fun. Make it fun, make them laugh. If they're enjoying what they're doing, they're learning. If you're a tyrant over them, they'll be there for a while and then they'll leave. But if you really make them enjoy the progressions, then and they see the advancement that they're making, that's the big key. Make it fun.
Yeah. Enjoy the, I always say this, mostly doing the testing. I always tell them that the certificate, it's nothing. Like, if you have mistakes through the law, this will be automatically revoked. You agree? I always tell you, right? Because I'm protecting the law enforcement. And I always said, now you can go out there, when you qualify an instructor, go out there and be good example. That's all I can say. But teaching, like, I don't know how to teach them how to, just go out there and be good example. That's all I can say.
I can, to me, I try to tell my students that I really, and this is a theme that comes up on my shows a lot, that I try to instill, is that you are the most important part of the journey. It's not the system, it's not the teacher, it's you. And you should fulfill it to the best, whether it's with me and you seek out other people. So in conjunction, we try to make it fun, challenging. I always try to find ways to bring out the best in them. And to bring out the best in them, I have to give them the best version of myself. So I'm constantly getting new information and all that in order to bring out the best in them. So I think it's a culmination of making it fun, making it challenging, but ultimately letting them know that you are the most important piece here, you.
That's true. And expose them to people like this.
Yes.
Bring your students so that they could learn who they are and experience, help broaden your students' knowledge by exposing them to other systems and other schools, because we don't have it all. That's why we continue learning.
Yeah, never ending.
Never ending.
I'm always here. I never go out. I just stay here to watch everybody teaching. I learn a lot. But I'm not learning about the thing. I'm learning how to counter it.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah,
If he ever
sure.
says, one more time, okay, one more time,
Yeah.
one more time, okay, got it. It's because he's stealing it and he's got the counter to it.
I'm over age now. I have to learn how to counter that.
Smart move.
Anthony, everything they've said, I agree with. And then I'd also like to add a couple of things. The first one is I don't ever ask my students to do something that I won't do myself. So I always have to lead by example. Like I'm not going to ask them to do something weird and crazy or whatever if I don't do it. So that way they see that, hey, to be vulnerable in front of my students is a big deal. To see them, for them to see me fail, for them to see me suffer through push-ups or squats or all of that, they see that it's we're in it together. That I'm not standing on a separate island. That we're all in the same one. And the second one is that I've learned over in the 23 years I've been teaching professionally that no matter what you do, the universe is just going to split ways with other students at times, and then the universe brings them back to you, and it's just kind of this ebb and flow. That no matter what you can do everything you did right, but it's something in their own life that pulled them away, and then you just pray and project that one day they come back, and it usually works out that way. And I always make them feel comfortable when they come back. I don't want to ever guilt any student with like, where you been at? Well, you could have been a black belt by now, and you give them this guilt trip instead of, hey man, I hope you're doing well, and I'm glad you're back, and let's get busy, let's rock. And that's a big deal. That's a huge connecting piece for as a human to human, that resonates and has worked. So.
Everybody at home, if you have questions, put them in the comments. One of them was already answered about the different systems here. Eric wants to know, who do you wear the gray sweatpants?
Due to the weather, I didn't feel I needed them, but always looking at the opportunity to wear them.
Absolutely. Question for you three gentlemen. What did you think from, as Filipino martial arts instructors, seeing Piper, seeing a South African knife system?
After the discussion, doing that.
Well,
that was not Troy, right?
The way it comes to night, it looks like MMA anyway. But it's good. I really like it. I really like it. It's a little thing,
Yeah.
But sometimes I do that too.
Right.
But it's different, It's different.
Alex, I need you to keep it within your shoulders.
Yes.
It's good because there is a thing to follow, even a little thing. It depends how you teach them. How to follow.
Every little bit enhances every other little bit.
Yeah.
I like it. I like everyone doing it.
Awesome. Yeah, there's some great instruction today.
It just made to be blended, you know what I mean? Like, the nice thing about Piper is you don't need, like, to take the whole system. I mean, you could really get the better understanding of African movement and why they do the things they do. But, even if you were to take just like a few classes or something, like, there's always things you can extract, and implement, into your, whether it's distractions, whether it's a way of movement, or, what that might be, or different ways of, with the reverse grip thrusting like that, and that's what it is. So it's made to be added, blended, complementary systems.
I really like it because it's like split seconds, You waste time.
Yeah, it's not, right.
That's what I like.
I think that most students today are going to take a lot of the pieces that we learned today and apply them to whatever their core system or style is that they practice. So it was a really good day, full of good techniques.
I think so. I thought it went better than expected. I think feedback was
Absolutely. Can you imagine this 20 years from how old are you now?
I am 28. I wish.
Can't put him on the spot.
No, I just turned
20 years and over.
No. Yeah. Actually,
50 years and over.
no, I just turned 58.
58. 20 years from now, 78.
Yeah, that's scary.
20 years from now, 100.
Me
No,
too.
90.
Me too.
65.
And then we
In
all,
20 years?
we all gone.
In 20 years, I'll be 65.
And
Yeah.
this will help a lot, and then people will see this in 20 years. And see how friendship is good.
So I think the most important question is, when are we doing this again?
Well, I mean, this is the first one, so I was using this as a baseline, and I had a feeling it was going to be a success just by the people involved, of course. So the next one, I believe, is Maryland, then there's Miami, Atlanta. So I'm trying to keep East Coast just for the sake of simplicity and logistics. But I would absolutely love to do another one with these gentlemen. Yeah, so that would, that's really, in my opinion, up to Guro Alex. So.
Awesome.
Hey,
Not to put you on the spot, but
I loved it. It was
Yeah.
amazing.
We'll go
And,
to the Philippines, 2025.
Yeah.
which way fine.
That's right.
So if anybody's gonna help Guro Dean host another FMA podcast goes on the road, you gotta step your game up because the bar is high.
The bar is, I mean,
Bar is high.
So,
We doing right, man. We know how to throw down
Let's see
here in the
what happens
Carolinas.
this year.
yeah.
Unless you can fly again here in North Carolina. Let's see what happens.
Let's do some. If there's no more questions, let's do some closing remarks.
Yeah, and then we'll call
Hang it out, man. Lots
Absolutely.
of amazing information. Thank you
Absolutely.
for sharing some gems.
We got anything else here?
I think we're good to go. It's
All
time
right.
time to wrap up.
Yeah, again, I mean, to me, it was fantastic. I didn't expect it would go this well. Guro Alex just went far beyond the host. I mean, the stuff that he's done and has done for this event, it shows just incredible. So this is going to be tough to beat because of just what Guro Alex has done as far as covering for lunch. You know what I mean?
The bar
Also,
for teachers
the
is high,
shirts,
but the
the
bar for lunch is also very high.
I mean, we got the teachers, we got the bar for lunch, shirts he gave us. I mean, the other
Take
stuff.
notes, guys. Take notes.
So, I mean, you know what I mean? And here's the thing too, like I don't obviously expect, you know, the match, obviously what Guro Alex has done. But if you were thinking about it, the bar's high.
The bar is high.
And I do it, all this is out of love and out of respect and
Yeah.
admiration, and you guys deserve the best. You deserve the best treatment. This to me is like royalty in house, and it should be nothing less than that. So it truly is a labor of love. It comes from my heart, and I'm glad that you guys enjoyed it. Having my teacher be here and sharing in all of this energy is amazing, and I'm just really, really proud of the way everything unfolded, and I couldn't be happier. So thank you for the opportunity to make this happen, and I'm glad that
Thank you,
I
Dave,
came through
for
for you
coming
guys.
in.
Oh my God, thank you for
Thank you.
that.
It was awesome. Thank you, brother. Yeah,
Yeah.
thank you guys.
Thank you too.
Yeah.
Thank you, everybody.
Awesome, guys. Great day. Fantastic day of training. On behalf of FMA discussion, we're out.
Just got to double click, Brett.
Peace.
The upper left.
All right.